Thanks, Adam. And now we're going to go to Allegra.
I was so excited to talk about expanding Social Security benefits. I just couldn't wait. So my name is Allegra Baider. I'm from the Center for Community Change, and I'm here to talk about the work of the Center for Community Change to protect and expand Social Security, and also the Campaign for Community Change, which is the center's advocacy arm. So the Center for Community Change works with grassroots community organizing groups around the country to achieve policy change. And when we think about the title of this panel, which is how do we translate popular will into action, our answer would be organizing, organizing, and more organizing. And I'm proud to be in this room with so many people who are organizing to protect and to strengthen Social Security. So we are running a grassroots campaign. We're working in 15 different states with community organizing groups who have been fighting to protect Social Security at the grassroots level. But the groups that we're working with have also been fighting to expand Social Security. And that's something that my organization is really committed to. And we've heard about the polls and the research showing tremendous support of the American people for expanding benefits. And that's something that the community organizing groups that we work with have found as they organize in their communities, that talking about expanding benefits not just resonates with people, it actually helps attract people into this movement. So we feel like going on the offensive, talking about how we make our Social Security system work better for everyone, ultimately helps us to protect Social Security and also helps us to continue to build a movement. So our groups engage in direct actions. They contact the media. They do public education in their home communities. They've had hundreds of events calling both to strengthen and to protect Social Security with thousands of people in attendance. And a key element of our theory of change is that in order to really make a dent in this conversation, we need to continually lift up the voices of real people who, sadly here in Washington, D.C., often get so lost in the current political debate. And in order to do that, one of the new things that we are engaging in is we call it our Grassroots Ambassadors program, and it's really an intensive training program for real people out across America who want to get engaged and to talk about what Social Security means to them. And earlier on today, we've talked about how do we get through and get through to people and in the midst of all of this misinformation that the media is perpetuating and the opponents of Social Security are perpetuating. And we really believe that one of the key ways to do that is by engaging real people, to talk to their friends, to talk to their neighbors, and to talk to their local media outlets about how important Social Security is and actually how we need to expand benefits. And to that end, the Center for Community Change today is releasing a new white paper along with the Older Women's Economic Security Task Force. I want to thank IWPR, who is in the room today, is doing a lot of writing on this report, the National Organization for Women, also big contributions to this report. And in our report, we're lifting up several policy proposals that have already been outlined in the earlier panel. We're calling for a caregiver credit. So workers who have to take time out of the workforce to care for a loved one are not penalized in their retirement. We're calling to increase benefits for long-term low-wage workers so they don't have to live in poverty when they retire. We're calling to reinstate student benefits for vulnerable students to make sure that they can complete their education. We're calling for same-sex benefits for parity for same-sex couples in our Social Security system. And finally, we're calling for to increase benefits across the board and to make sure that we have a COLA that actually reflects the real cost of living for seniors, so switching to the CPIE. And that's just an overview of our policy agenda. You can find our report here, both available on the Center for Community Change's website and IWPR's website and others. But I want to highlight something else about the report and something that's really been critical to CCC, and that is that we need to talk about real people and lift up their voices and their stories. And in our report, for every policy change we're proposing, we're actually highlighting a real individual and their Social Security story. And in that vein, I'm sorry that I actually am not here today with one of our leaders who is featured in the report, because I think it would certainly add a lot to what I have to say and add a lot to our panel. But I did want to just share her story. And so I'm going to talk about Sarah Moore. She's 80 years old. She worked for 30 years, starting in her teens. She did 10 years of unpaid caregiving. And in her retirement now, she's really solely reliant on Social Security, and her benefits are below poverty wages, below the poverty level. So that's, in my opinion, really shameful. And we should be thinking about how we can make our Social Security benefit, our Social Security system work better for people like Sarah. And I just wanted to end with one of the things that Sarah actually shared with me when I was lucky enough to be able to interview her for this report. And at the end of this conversation, where she told me that she can't afford to buy fresh fruit, which she loves, she doesn't buy meat, she relies on food pantries to get by every month. She said, "God has blessed me." And I was on the phone thinking, I'm just hearing about this woman who lives alone, on the sort of very much on the margins, and saying, "God has blessed me." And she said, "I'm so fortunate compared to the people I know." So I think that we need to think about the real life stories of people who are struggling every day to get by, and we need to break through what's happening here in DC, because it's so horribly disconnected from that. Thank you.